group of students that asked why there was no lions in a national park, and I explained that there's a lot of illegal poaching and illegal pet trade in that area. And they said, do you think that's where my lion cub came from, what I got for my 3rd birthday? I was like, yes. For a moment.
What? I had to rub toothpaste off my beard on one episode.
I get that all the time.
Do you? Yeah. Do you get toothpaste on your beard?
Yeah,
it's the worst, I tell you. Nightmare. Rhian, apparently, you tell me there was life before eggs. Tell me about life before eggs.
It's funny because symbolically, an egg is the start of something. But there was time. Much of my life was before eggs.
Nice. So what came first then?
Me.
You.
Not the chicken.
Not the chicken, right?
So I started out working in education. I worked as a teaching assistant with special needs kids. And then I trained on the job to become an unqualified teacher, which basically meant I taught GCSE maths, but they didn't have to pay me as a teacher.
Wow.
And I was also head of pupil premium. So I worked with adopted and fostered children, low income, armed forces children, usually kids with a little bit more additional needs in school, whether that's pastoral or educational support.
When you said educational, then I thought you were going to say educational or something. I thought there was going to be a weird link to everything you said had eggs in it.
That comes after the eggs. I talk about
Cool.
education all the time.
You know what's really interesting? I don't know if you know this. So my daughter's got special educational needs, and she's adopted. Did you know that?
No, I did not. And
I know. Yeah,
right in your remit.
I know, right? Welcome. So what got you into that then? Was that like a from school type thing, or?
Yeah, well, I was a school refuser through GCSEs, and then it turns out that if someone...
Do you remember your GCSE results?
Yeah, I did quite well actually. But ironically, it turns out that if someone pays me to go to school, I attend 100% of the time. So when someone offered me a job when I was 18, swayed me to go for a job interview when I was 18 as a teaching assistant, and they said they will pay you to be here. I said, okay, I'll give this a go. And then I loved it. It was an amazing job, really, really rewarding. But towards the end, I was spending more time in police stations and tribunals than I was in the classroom. And it's a lot to carry. And then I went on an expedition to Tanzania as a travelling teacher. I had to fundraise my place. So the school said that if I didn't travel, the students couldn't travel from the school. They needed a representative. But it was a paid teacher place. So I fundraised £3,400 in 3 months. I put on a gig, basically, and a raffle. And
nice. Who doesn't love a raffle, right?
Exactly. And a tombola. I'm also a big fan of a tombola.
Nice.
And then I went to Tanzania. We ended up doing a week in Kenya. Fell in love with this company. It was a social enterprise that takes students away to take part in project work. And so when I was sat at Heathrow on the way back, I emailed the director of Africa and asked for a job.
The director of Africa, or the director?
Like for the company, not just.
Oh, right. I was like, wow, the director of Africa. That sounds like you've got some connections.
I'm not sure such a job exists as an overseer of a continent. But yeah, so the director of the company for Africa and said, I want to work for you. I just love what you guys do. I want to be involved. And so I went for some job interviews, and then they offered me a permanent role in their UAE office. But because I was in the meantime, I got trained as an expedition leader. Because I was fully trained, I got to lead lots of expeditions whilst based in the UAE. So the UK students would go for 4 weeks and the UAE students would go for 8 days. and it was working with UN Sustainable Development Goals. So everything from zero hunger to equal opportunities to infrastructure. It's looking at how we have a sustainable future for the planet and all of its inhabitants. So there's other elements of life on land, life on water. So we did everything from building classrooms in Kenya and having an agreement with the government. For every classroom we built, they would provide a teacher, to doing reforestation work in Borneo. Yeah, it was incredible way to travel, to leave an impact behind. But it also put things in perspective, especially for the UAE students. They came from quite a privileged background, and to take them to rural Cambodia and work on a project building a toilet block for a family, because in that area 8 families share a toilet. You could see the light bulb moment of them going, wow, this is how people live. I'm so fortunate for my life and what I've been born into. Or also a group of students that asked why there was no lions in a national park. And I explained that there's a lot of illegal poaching and illegal pet trade in that area. And they said, do you think that's where my lion cub came from, what I got for my 3rd birthday? I was like, yes. Light bulb moment.
What? That's mental, right? Matt, I'm like genuinely like, that can't be a thing.
It's many things.
Wow.
Mm.
So when you did all of that then, because I find it really interesting when someone does something to help other people. Obviously you gain a lot of experience out of it, but like, and you get paid, which I get that. And but like, what was your drive with doing that then? Was there a personal drive, or was it a drive to help others?
It was making a difference. You saw firsthand, you saw instantly that you were having an impact. Also, like, I loved the CEO and how he created the business was all about not doing things tokenistically. A lot of aid work and missions that are set up, people will take part in projects that are never finished, or they haven't liaised and found out what's actually going to have a long-lasting impact and positive impact as well. What
Yeah.
we think a community needs in Kenya might not be what the community needs in Kenya. It's not really our, as the Western white savior, to decide what it is that they need. And so we'd liaise with the local villages, the government, and say what is actually going to have an impact and a lasting impact as well.
Yeah.
So we had a commitment that every project we started, sorry, we finished. So even during COVID, we kept all of our in-country teams working on the project, so they continued even while the world was in lockdown.
Did that continue all the way through COVID then, or?
Yeah. So none of the projects stopped, and we obviously didn't have any traveling groups. I had a bit of a heads up on COVID because we had trips going to China and Southeast Asia, and so we were starting to move all of our expeditions to Africa in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. So we had a little bit of an inkling. Our CEO joked that we were going to have a case of corona because it will all blown over by March. But it was also traveling. I have such a travel bug. Every given opportunity. When I was based in the UAE, I loved it because you were close to Africa and Asia, and you could travel quite cheaply, really, for their flights that are usually quite extortionate. So I got to go out and see loads of places of the world, and I like to see the local culture and really immerse it and live like how different people live. I think that it broadens your horizons.
Is there anywhere that you'd like to visit then that you've not visited before in the world?
Well, yeah, quite a lot.
Okay, cool.
So I've never been to South Africa. I'd love to go to South Africa. I've spent a lot of time in East Africa and a little bit in West, but not South. And also Iceland. I'd love
Mm,
to go to Iceland.
yeah, nice. That Kerry Katona's from Iceland, didn't she?
Is she? I thought she's
I'm
English.
joking. She
Oh,
did the
that's why
Iceland advert.
that's why mums go to Iceland.
Exactly. I love that. Do you know, I've always fancied Iceland actually, because I think it's one of those places, isn't it? It's like, it's weird that it's famous for volcanoes and ice. It's just like polar opposites, right?
Yeah, it's a natural spa.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Like, nature's incredible. Some of the things in the world where it's completely natural, and we try and build something that would never be on par with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So what was it like then? Kind of because you came back to the UK, right?
Yeah, so after pandemic, so I did lockdown in Dubai, which was a little bit different to lockdown in the UK. And then
How is it
I
different? How is it different? Or are you not allowed to say due to legal reasons?
yeah, well, it's just a bit stricter. And
Wow.
whilst we had a curfew for 3 months, we had very strict lockdown. You follow the rules in the UAE. You know, it's an interesting place to live, but it's very, very safe, and there's a reason for that. And I was like on the phone to friends back home, and they're all drinking up the hills, and I was like, oh, I haven't left my flat for 3 weeks. So then I came back at the end of 2020. So November 2020, I ended up being made redundant. I think the company did amazing to keep all of the staff on through COVID. We didn't have furlough out there either, so we all took salary cuts to keep our in-country teams employed.
Hmm.
While we weren't having any revenue come through. But there was obviously going to come a point where that's not sustainable. So yeah, November 2020, moved back to Worcestershire, which is like quite rural, Malvern Hills. It's like rolling countryside. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty. Uh,
Not the apparently not the most easiest of places to say if you're talking about the famous sauce, right?
Worcestershire.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like the polar opposite to Dubai. So it was quite a shock to the system at first, and thought, shit, what am I going to do? I really like traveling. The world is in lockdown. It doesn't look like the travel corridors are opening up anytime soon. And so I thought I want to do something with sustainability. Um, we can't, I don't think the council will be too happy if I start like trying to build classrooms and planting trees all around the local area. So actually the single biggest impact we as individuals can make is what we consume. We have full control over what we eat. So why not channel sustainability through food? I'd always enjoyed cooking and loved experimenting with flavors and creating things. So I started doing just meals in lockdown, takeaways. Coming from Dubai, where you've got every cuisine imaginable on Deliveroo, to Malvern, where you have an Indian, a Chinese, and a chippy. Um, I was like, let's introduce African curries, Sri Lankan stews, just something different, Middle Eastern wraps. So started doing that, but everything was plant-based. I just didn't advertise it as plant-based. I did a survey about 3 weeks in and said, did you know that everything you've been eating is plant-based, to like a few of my regular customers? And they were like, no, what? There was like, I could kind of tell that I knew there wasn't any meat, but like, that's crazy. It was so delicious. That phrase I have heard so many times in the last 4 years of, "What? It's vegan, but it's delicious." It's that "but."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. So what was the kind of motive behind you? Because are you vegan yourself, or is that something that like did you just want that as a an outlet to kind of make a difference?
So it started as a bet. A couple of my colleagues were very strict vegans, and we went away on holiday to Bali, and they used to be the type of vegan that if they saw someone eating an egg, they'd go, "Chicken, period." And I said, I kind of feel like we shouldn't do that whilst we're on holiday. So maybe if you guys don't mention it, I'll go vegan for a month when we get back to Dubai. And so I did, and then actually I felt so much better for it. Over in Dubai at the time, you couldn't get any meat alternatives. You were lucky if you found a Linda McCartney sausage, and that was about it. So it meant that I ate a really whole food diet, lots of beans and legumes, pulses, and loads of vegetables. And so actually I felt so much healthier for it. I just generally had more energy, felt better in myself. And then also I kind of started to think it's a little bit hypocritical that I work in conservation and then I eat meat. And I found there was like a contradiction there. So yeah, so then yeah, and that's been 6 years now. Been plant-based. Um, and so, yeah, so there is an element of that, but then also from, like I'm saying, like a passion for sustainability, and actually the single biggest impact is food. So plant-based is the more generally more sustainable option. I say generally because there are some that now, especially with ultra processed foods on the market, you've got to kind of weigh it all up of what you are eating.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not, I don't think it's as black and white as it's good or bad.
yeah.
There's a lot in between. So yeah, so that's how it started with the plant-based food. And then there was the restriction in COVID where you couldn't get a pint without a substantial meal.
Right.
And a Scotch egg was deemed substantial. So I created a plant-based version that looks like a Scotch egg, tastes like a Scotch egg, smells like a Scotch egg, and started selling it to pubs. And they said, you know what? You can't tell the difference. It reduces our risk of food waste. We don't have to have a meat and a veggie option. We'll just sell yours, but we won't tell anyone they're vegan.
I love that. No way. So how did that go from selling them to a few pubs then to kind of growing what you have today and what, your business as it is?
So I was actually listening to Simon Scribb's book yesterday, What's Your Dream? And
Yeah.
he was describing it about being on a boat. And it's quite funny because I was talking to my dad about it, that when I started out, my dad got made redundant from Morgan Motor Company the same week I got made redundant. So, natural progression, build cars to build eggs.
Yeah.
And I
Makes
said,
perfect sense.
it makes complete logic. And I said, it's like, well, we started out building a boat. Like, we just jumped on this boat because we're like, oh, I've got nowhere else to go. And then we've been building it as we're going. And it's quite a good analogy, really, because I never set out to run a business, to be perfectly honest. I just wanted something to occupy me, keep me out of trouble. I didn't want to go back into education during lockdown. It was all there was a lot of factors that I, I couldn't quite I couldn't go back, couldn't work in hospitality. There was a load of barriers. So I was like, well, I've got to do something. I can't just sit at home not do anything. And then when I started going to markets with the product and started getting approached by people saying, oh, I'd like to sell your Scotch eggs in my shop and things, I saw that there was a market opportunity for it. So I went, well, let's just like explore this and see where it goes.
So are you just making them at home then at the
Yeah,
start?
so at that point, I was still making them at home. So then started to see actually a lot of people are buying these and shops are saying they'll sell them. So I need packaging for them. It's quite expensive to buy design and buy packaging for a product. So I started catering weddings. It started because a couple contacted me 2 weeks before their wedding and said they decided they wanted a vegan wedding and their caterer had cancelled 2 weeks before. Any chance you can help us? And I kind of felt a moral obligation to say yes, because how do you say no to a bride that says
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
But then also I'd never catered anything before. I'd never done like a party or let alone a wedding. So just went straight in at the deep end and did it. From that, I paid for my trademark of Veg Life. I started to pay for the packaging and then started doing more of those kind of catering side of things. At the start, there was just lots of avenues. I had my fingers in many, many pies I saw that there was an opportunity with the product and I knew I needed to focus on one area, but I wasn't in a position that was a strong enough revenue stream to just go ahead with it. So I was doing it organically, I guess. Everything I was earning was going into that progression. It was all feeding back in. I did a lot of when we came out of lockdown, I found that a lot of pubs and restaurants, chefs had gone on furlough and they'd gone into like gardening. It seemed to be
Hmm.
like a lot of chefs went into gardening. And so when everything opened up again, there was no chefs about, especially in our area. I don't know, I think it was quite common across the UK.
I
But
think
so,
the chefing industry in itself is quite stressful anyway, isn't it?
oh,
So
God, yeah.
being given an opportunity, gardening does sound pretty relaxing, right?
Well, I think that was it. People, especially the people that had been in hospitality for a long, long time, hadn't ever stopped, and furlough made them stop and know that what life's like without that stress. And then people were like, I'm not going back to that. It changed a lot. I think COVID changed massive. Well, we probably wouldn't be sat doing this
No,
pre-COVID.
no,
We
because
would have to
did you
meet
go on a video?
after.
Did you ever go on a video call in like before COVID? I don't think I did.
I mean, I did, because I was worked for an international company, so we had to be able to communicate with one another, but not to the level that it's used now. You definitely wouldn't be recording a podcast on a, would you?
No.
Um, so yeah, so I started approaching pubs and restaurants and saying, I've been doing takeaways from home. I'd like to like dabble in a little bit more, but I can't really invite people around to my parents' house for dinner. And there's lines.
Yeah.
And so I started using empty pub kitchens and restaurants to do pop-up events. So I do like supper clubs with different cuisine themes. So that's what helped pay for that progression as well. And also when we first came out of COVID, it was a real like unusual time where nobody had been out for like 18 months. No one had been away. No one had really spent any money for 18 months. And so when we came out of lockdown, like the 3.0 or whatever it was, everyone was like quite frivolous because they'd like, oh, I haven't spent money for so long. And so it was a really good time because it was popular. People wanted things to do. It was
Yeah.
nice to be able to offer something different. But the Scotch eggs kind of kept coming back to that. There's a real opportunity here. Not so much the Scotch eggs, but the egg element. But if I'd
Yeah.
gone straight out and started asking people if they wanted to try a boiled egg that's not an egg, I think I would probably have been put in a white room with padded cells. So, um, so the Scotch eggs were like, seemed like the right avenue to go down. I had been doing it from home. I'd made 10,000 Scotch eggs and catered 5 weddings from my parents' kitchen at this point. When I said, do you mind if I move back in at home for a little bit in November 2020? I don't know if they agreed to that aspect.
Wow. So
It's not a very big kitchen either. It's really
I want to
quite
go back. I
small.
want to go back because I'm all about like in my life. There's been so many moments where I've been like, I've learnt from that fuck up. So I want to ask you a couple of questions about the Scotch eggs.
Yeah.
The first one is, did you try all your first versions, and was there like in the early stages, was there some versions like I can't eat that? That's like, or was there like any big mistakes that you really learnt from? Obviously, we don't need to know your secrets because we're not going to give away your secret recipe. But
I feel embarrassed to say this, and I don't know why, but it actually didn't. I like the first attempt worked. I know, and people think I'm lying. I don't know. When I say it, I feel like I downplay it, and I'm like, oh, loads of experimenting went on. Don't get me wrong. I'd done loads of research in the lead
yeah,
up, and I'd like played around a little bit, but it was pretty much the first attempt. Looking back, if you look at photos of it 4 years ago, and also like the process and what it's done, it's come on a long, long way. And when I look at those early ones, just like, I don't know, the yolk's a bit dodgy. It's like uneven and it's a funny colour. Generally, like the recipe hasn't changed. Just the process of it, and especially in the last 2 years, because then they started to see that there was a real demand, a real opportunity for it. I needed to develop it to take it to mass production, so that's where like a lot of the changes kind of come into play. But yeah, my first experiments, it started before that COVID restriction. It went when I first got back. My mum did a buffet at Christmas, and she loves a buffet, and she
who
said,
doesn't love a buffet?
very true. And I looked at it and I was like, Mum, I actually can't. All I can eat is the carrot sticks. Like none of that is plant based. And she went, well, what can you eat? And I was like, oh, I don't know. There's loads of things,
Do you know
but
what's really funny? So I've got a similar thing. So I a couple of years ago did a bit of a strip, and I got myself down and lost about 25 kilos.
yeah,
Every family member I ever went to was like, well, what can you eat then? Oh, you can't eat that. And I'm like, no, I just don't want to eat a tiramisu when I'm tracking my calories, bearing in mind you've just made me a roast dinner with everything else. I'm like, but it was always like, oh, I thought we could go out for coffee, but you probably won't be able to eat anything, will you? And you're like, it's like, what? It's mad, isn't it? But do you know what? I've got family members I only ever see each year when there's a buffet. I'm wondering if it's the buffet that's the attractment.
I would say so.
Wow.
Do you really want to go to a party if there's not a buffet? So it was before Greg's sausage roll days, pre-Greg sausage roll era, and so I was like, surely you could make a vegan sausage roll and a vegan Scotch egg. And so that's where it started. And then I'd never thought, oh, I'm going to sell them. And then when that restriction came around, I was like, it's a calling. It's a calling for the Scotch eggs.
Yeah, I feel like that's it's just sometimes it's looking for something that's not there and finding an opportunity with it.
Or not even looking for it. Sometimes
No,
it just and something occurs that's an opportunity, and you're like, oh, I never would have thought of doing that, but now I'm gonna.
yeah, amazing. Right, there's one thing I obviously have tried your Scotch eggs, and we need to ask. I need to ask you one thing. This comes back to your growth and when did you start to introduce different flavors? And tell me the truth, is there a flavor that you went, oh, that's not good? Is there a flavor that you created that just didn't work? I bet you're going to say no again, aren't you?
So yeah, flavors were quite early on when we kind of came out of lockdown, and I started going to like food markets and going, oh, I wonder if anyone's actually going to buy a Scotch egg. I remember the first market I went to, I think I took like 60 Scotch eggs, and I was like, oh, God, who's going to buy 60 Scotch eggs? I sold out in less than an hour, and I was like, oh, okay, people like the Scotch eggs. So when I first went to market, I did different flavors. Because I thought, you need to have it. I wasn't really selling, and I think I was doing like sausage rolls and things, but I was like, you can't just stand there with one product. You need to have like different things. Also, I let you into secret, although I probably already said it. I've not always been vegan, and so I used to make Scotch eggs. Like for years, I've made Scotch eggs. I love like adding flavors to them. I used to do a breakfast one that had like a runny egg and then a strip of bacon and then beans and mushrooms and potato in like the sausage casing, and so it was like a full English and a Scotch egg. Um,
I'm not dribbling. I'm like, that sounds amazing.
so the flavors are kind of always, I guess that's from pre Scotch egg days.
Pre-Scotch
Um,
eggs.
And I do the chili festival at East Newcastle because it's local, and I always try and make some really hot Scotch eggs for it. And I think that they have been disgusting the last few years because it's just like burn.
Are they like
And
Scotch bonnet
people
Scotch
are mad
eggs?
for it. I like this year just gone, I was like, right, the last couple of years, people have gone, oh, they're not even that hot. So this year, I'm going hard. There was Scotch bonnets, there was sriracha, there was cayenne pepper, there was hot pepper sauce, there were fingered chilies, and people were eating it and not even flinching. I
Wow.
tried the tiniest bit. I was like,
No
and I like
way.
salt, but so
Wow.
yeah, there has been, but intentionally horrible Scotch egg flavors.
Is there ever been a flavor then that you've just made just for yourself and you're like, I'm not sharing that. It's just mine.
Yeah, I used to do these like bacony ones. With This Isn't Bacon. I have a client that I make her some every Christmas because she's always like, I miss them. I'll make you some on the side. I've just let that out now. Everyone's going to be asking for them, aren't they? Maybe edit that bit out.
I'm I'm I mean we get an awful lot of followers. I mean, like, I'm talking millions. So, could be a new product for you. Who knows? Amazing, amazing. So a couple of things I want to ask you then. Like along your journey, you've obviously talked about kind of doing your research and stuff like that. Where does that come from? Has that been something that you've always been? Obviously you said about school and stuff, but like, is there kind of like something in your life that's kind of made you do the groundwork before you kind of jump in or do what you're doing?
Weirdly, I was thinking about this yesterday, and I think probably goes back to school. So when I when I refused to go to school, it's very naughty. I used to wait for my mum to go to work, and I'd wait in the alley down the road, and then I'd go back home and phone up and say, "Rhian's not feeling very well today. She's not coming into school."
Was that
You
your
won't
mum's
get
voice?
away with it now, kids. Truancy,
No.
I've got her on it these days.
All you got to do now is just send an email from your mum's email account. Problem solved.
There's probably a school app, isn't there?
Yeah.
Attending, not attending. So I was predicted quite high grades when I was at school, and so there was quite a lot of pressure on it that the school get a payment based off whether you get your predicted grades. It's all like their bonus system, I guess, is based off what you achieve. So they really wanted me to go and sit my exams, because I quite easily could have gone, I'm not sitting them. I don't want to come to school. I'm not going to sit the exam. So they agreed that if I would go in once a week, collect the work from home, and promise to sit my exams, then I didn't have to go into school. So that's probably where it came from originally, because I was allowed that independence of work of learning myself. It meant I did what I was asked, but I probably went off and went a bit rogue with it, and
Yeah.
went and researched things. Whereas, getting that independence at a young age of how you learn, I think is quite a privilege. That it probably sparked that curiosity in me.
I
So
love that. That's so cool. That's so cool. It's funny because I, as a kid, never used to like reading. And as I've got older, I like reading. And I almost feel like I want to kind of like, I'm really eager to learn. You know, if there's something I want to go towards now, I find myself just like so much eager to go, actually, I'm going to research it, learn it. And then rather than, I used to be very much kind of, oh, okay, cool. Across the road. Shit, that was busy. Rather than let's look before we run across. What's next then for Veg Life, and what's your future plan with Veg Life? Where is it going? And also, how can people get a taste of these Scotch eggs? Because I know they're amazing. Was it Jambo I had, wasn't it?
we did, which is Swahili for hello. So it's an East African curried flavour. Um, Jumbo.
Jambo. Oh my God, I just realised, isn't that in the song All Night Long?
Yeah.
I sing that every Saturday night nearly, and I've just realised that I'm saying hello in the song.
Yep. Lionel knows. And also Shakira. Waka waka. Hey.
Jumbo. Didn't she say Jumbo at the end?
There's Jumbo in there. Jumbo. Hey.
No way. Wow. I'm putting it on
Swahili's
bilingual now
actually
on my LinkedIn.
Swahili's a really easy language to learn, actually.
Is it?
Less complicated than European languages. You don't have like genders and stuff and tenses. It's very
Oh,
straightforward.
nice.
It's a nice language,
Wow.
and it's cool as well.
Always sounds
Barigani,
cool.
Zurisana.
What did you just say then?
Barigani, Zurisana. It's hello, how are you? Very well.
That is clever. I bet you won't find that on Duolingo.
You probably will.
I'm gonna
Yes,
have a
yeah,
look. I'm gonna have a look after this.
on Duolingo before. Just get yourself an African pen pal, though. It's a way better way of learning a language. It's
I
like
had a
talking to someone.
Czechoslovakian pen pal when I was at school.
No way.
They wrote to me in English. I wrote back in English. Pointless. I mean, not for them.
It was probably really good for them. They wanted that support.
I mean, I don't know whether they could even read my handwriting when I was a kid. So, yeah.
No, a typewriter.
No. I'm not that old. Ding. I did have a typewriter. You're right.
I had a typewriter.
I remember my parents had an electric typewriter that it came up on the screen, and then you press the button and it went. Brrr. Yeah, that was fancy.
I used to have one that.
Yeah, they had one of those to start with, and you used to have to get that little thing, and like to delete, there was like a roll of Tipex.
Tipex, yeah.
Amazing. So, how could people get hold of a Scotch egg and
what's next? So, they can get one. They can buy them direct. We have a online shop, www.veglifeeats.com.
Wow, you've just said something that I have not heard anyone say for a while. www.
Do you not say that bit anymore?
I don't know, because I don't know if you need to say it anymore. Because if you just type in,
people say worldwideweb.com.
Well.
No, World Wide Web,
Yeah.
veglifeeats.com.
Okay, cool. So worldwideweb.veglifeeats.com.
And then on social media, we're Veg Life Eats. And then on our website as well, you can see where we're stocked. So places like Gloucester Services on the M5, the Fancy Farm Shop,
I love that
and
farm shop.
Infinity Foods down in Brighton, and then loads of independents across the UK. But we're in the process of scaling up.
Nice.
So we've been raising investment to grow our manufacturing process, introducing machinery. Shit's getting real. It's getting serious. Um,
Wow.
and it's what I think, I've got to give myself kudos of that I've grown the business for the last 4 years, completely self-funded, bootstrapped. I've not been able to loan any money in a traditional method because I have no credit score, because I've never had debt. And you don't realize until credit score until you need money, and then it's too late because you've already need a credit score. And also like all the grants and government and local authority grants are on like a match funded basis, so you need to have capital to be able to access them.
I knew there was a reason. My mum used to say to me, you don't need to finance another guitar when I was like 18, 19. Obviously, I did. It was a good thing.
You were logical. You were thinking
Yeah.
about the
I was
future.
thinking about the future. Yeah.
Littlewoods. Do you remember Littlewoods? And you used to like pay it off in installments.
Yeah.
That would have given you, that gives that element of it is giving you a credit score.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember getting a Littlewoods catalogue, actually. Wow. Amazing.
So we'll never
Rhian,
know what it's like to write your Christmas list from an Argos catalogue.
oh, and did you, well, now we're going there. You said Christmas. I mean,
Christmas scotchies.
did you used to buy the Radio Time? Oh my God. Cranberry?
I want to do an advent calendar of scotchies.
Wow.
I'm not about the chocolate, so I feel like a savoury treat every morning, and I'd be well excited to open the window.
Right, you've got like 8 weeks. I mean, to be fair, you do packs of 4 anyway, I know on your website. So
Exactly.
you could just you could order a weekly, like 2 or 3. Yeah, you'd have to order 3 packs a week, wouldn't you? To get your Scotch eggs up. Interesting. Rhian, thank you so much for coming on and having a chat to me today. And I'm so excited to see what's happening next. You are definitely the Willy Wonka of the plant-based food, right? So I'm looking forward to what's next. One thing before we go, will there ever be a sweet Scotch egg, do you think?
There's been sweet Scotch eggs. I did a supper club very early on for Amelia Earhart theme, and so I got booked to do it. It was doing like a celebration of Amelia Earhart. So each course was a different destination. So I looked at her route that she went down. We started in America, then we went down to South America, and then it went over to India and then Thailand. And so each course was a dish that represented that country. And then nobody knows what happened to her because she disappeared off the coast of Australia. Although Donald Trump has recently said that he's going to, ironically, this week, he said he's going to reveal the files on Amelia Earhart and the truth will come out of what happened to her.
Will he be re-releasing all files that he knows about these days?
He's distracting from some other files. I don't know
what files he's talking about.
And so it ended with a mystery because of Amelia. And so I did a Scotch egg, but it was actually a cheesecake. So it had like an apricot centre, a cheesecake egg, and then vanilla sponge and digested breadcrumbs.
Rhian, you're a superstar. Thank you so much. And yeah, I need to get some Scotch eggs. And that wraps up today's episode of the Coffee, Chaos and Confidence podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure you like and subscribe. It helps other listeners find the show. Also, go and check out the show notes to learn more about my incredible guests. Until next time, make sure you chase your dreams without limitations.